the beginning, preschool and kindergarten. In today's Connect, Inform, Engage, we will focus on our rising pre-K students and our kindergarten students. I am Michelle Royster, your parent engagement coordinator, and luckily the host for tonight's events. Today's session, we will have a welcome by our very own Mrs. Hargrove Jones, but we are excited today because we have a parent who has experienced pre-K and currently has a child in kindergarten who will be able to share his experiences, why he believes pre-K and kindergarten are needed for our children, as well as any advice for our parents considering applying for pre-K or preparing for their child to enter into kindergarten. We will then follow our presentation with experts who will provide us with information on preschool, EC pre-K, and kindergarten. And then we will allow our audience to be able to ask questions from a panel of experts who sit in the seats of decisions, who work this every day and know the ins and outs of pre-K and kindergarten. And then we will close out our presentation for today. On your screen, you will see at the bottom where it says Q&A. If you would click on that Q&A, a box will pop up. This box will allow you to ask questions to this audience. We do have Mr. McQueen, who is monitoring our chat and will let us know when you have a question that the audience would love to have answered by our panel. At this time, we're going to have our panel to introduce themselves.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer George, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Bailey Elementary.
Good evening. I'm Imelda Hickman. I'm one of the AC teachers at Williford Elementary.
Hello, I'm Angela King, and I'm the transition facilitator for Nash County Public Schools.
Hello, I am Monique Hargrove Jones, the Executive Director of Elementary Education.
Good evening. I'm Natasha Williams, Early Learning Coordinator for Nash County Public Schools.
Good evening. I'm Amy Watson. I'm the pre-K coordinator for Nash County Public Schools.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Hunter. I'm the preschool itinerant teacher for the district.
Good evening. I'm Jay Russell Harris, and I am a father who cares.
Good evening. I would like to welcome our current and future Nash County Public Schools families to our Connect, Inform, and Engage session focused on preschool application and kindergarten registration. Nash County Public Schools is committed to providing high-quality early education experiences for all students. While kindergarten serves as the official start to a child's educational career, our preschool program helps build a foundation in social, pre-academic, and general life skills that gives students a leg up in school and beyond. Research has shown that children who receive early childhood education are 25% more likely to graduate from high school. We hope that you find tonight's session helpful, and we look forward to serving you during the 2023-2024 school year.
At this time, we're going to have Mr. Harris, who has a child that's in kindergarten and attended pre-K last year, to speak and share his experiences, as well as provide any advice for parents.
Thanks so much for having me. One of the things that my wife and I, we experienced during our tenure with having kids in pre-K was a sense of us gaining a level of comfortability. Of course, with any parent, you'll be nervous about sending your child to school, but the public school system created communication with us and a sense of comfortability for us to be able to get to know the teachers. Not only with that, but it also created a level of comfortability for our child to be better prepared as they got ready to transition into kindergarten. What we also noticed was it created a level of a sense of foundation where they was exposed to being able to learn letters, numbers, and shapes and colors. So they was ahead of the game than others that weren't already in pre-K and started off in kindergarten. So I do admonish parents under the sound of my voice to consider pre-K because they'll start with a larger array of vocabulary words, stronger basic math skills, and even in pre-reading skills. And so allow your child to have a foundation. There's a saying that says the building is only as strong as the foundation. So that's the same with kids. The stronger the foundation, the greater the success. So thank you so much.
A special thank you to Mr. Harris for taking time out today to provide us that insight for parents. Thank you. At this time, we will have Mrs. Natasha Williams to talk to us about the early learning program.
To align with the district's focus, which is growing stronger together, it is our goal in preschool to build a foundation for future success. Play is very important in establishing a learning environment for young learners. Here at Nash County Public Schools, our preschool classrooms are a place that turns ordinary experiences into extraordinary moments of learning. For many children, preschool is their first introduction to school, and our teachers strive daily to create an environment that lays the foundation for positive attitudes towards school and encourages developmentally appropriate practices. There are a number of great things to look forward to when a student has been approved to participate in our NC Pre-K program, some of which include an enriched environment that promotes growth in all development areas, which includes language, literacy, math, physical, and social development. We have certified teachers who use a curriculum and a number of age-appropriate developmental activities that promote readiness skills, which help students to be prepared to transition into kindergarten. Our preschool also operates on a full school day schedule, which also follows our district's traditional calendar. To apply for the upcoming 2023-2024 school year, parents must submit an application. Applications can be found on our district's website, all Nash County Public Schools elementary schools, and at the Teacher Resource Center, which is located on Fairview Road. The following documents are required when submitting an application: your child's birth certificate, 30 consecutive days of pay stubs for the child's parent or guardians, a photo ID for the parent or guardian, and 2 proofs of residency. Here you can see a list of some of the things that determines if a child is qualified for NC Pre-K. The first thing is the child must be on or before August 31st of the current school year. Some of the other items include having an identified developmental disability, having an educational need as indicated by the child's performance results on an approved developmental screening or in an existing individualized education plan, also known as an IEP, and if the child is a member of an eligible military family. After applications are received, completed applications are submitted to our contracting agency, Downey's Partnership for Children, for approval. Only applications with all required information and documents are considered to be complete and will be submitted for approval. Parent and guardians who have submitted their applications that are missing requirement documents will be receiving a letter or a phone call from our office requesting items. Once the list of approved applications are received, Nash County Public Schools will consider children for placement in our NC Pre-K classrooms. Once all slots are filled, children will then be placed on a waiting list and will be notified when slots become available. Parent and guardians will be contacted by letter, email, and/or phone no later than June to inform them of their child's approval and site placement. Now you will hear from Ms. Amy Moore Watson, our Nash County Public Schools Exceptional Children's Preschool Coordinator.
Thank you, Natasha. Each local school system is responsible for having a program that starts serving children at the age of 3. If your child is currently receiving services from the infant toddler program through CDSA, he or she will transition into our programming when they turn 3 years old. Here are some resources below, including 2 handbooks, both in English and Spanish, that outline the guidelines and expectations of that transition. And finally, there is a Guiding Practices in Early Childhood Transitions handbook that gives you activities, timelines, and things that your kids should be doing in certain times of their development between Part C transition to our preschool program in Part B. There are other types of referrals, and the first one is included is a parent referral. A parent referral can begin at 3, and along with a physician's referral that may begin at their wellness checks. You can also have a CDSA referral up until 3, and you can also be referred by your health department. Either way, these referrals come through our offices, and we create an IEP team that will look at the individual needs of your students, and we will place them where they belong and give them services. Next, our itinerant teacher, Ms. Andrea Hunter, will share her experiences.
Thank you, Amy. As an itinerant teacher, I travel to serve children who receive specialized instruction that are currently enrolled in childcare centers, schools, preschool, church preschool, and Head Start programs. Students must have an IEP to receive itinerant services. Itinerant sessions typically range from 10 to 30 minutes. During this time, we are working on IEP goals along with basic academic concepts such as cutting, sorting, and self-regulation techniques. Itinerant sessions are usually in a one-on-one setting. However, I also provide classroom support when needed. At this time, I will pass it along to Ms. Hickman.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. To explain the difference between a typically developing classroom and my self-contained classroom, each child has a disability and working on a set of goals from his or her IEP that you and I and the team help to write. We work on the same curriculum as a typically developing classroom. We just do it at a slower pace, more opportunities for repetition, and more hands-on learning. As Ms. Williams stated before, we operate on the same schedule as all national elementary schools do. We work on matching colors, identifying shapes. For children that have communication delays, they'll have a Big Mac switch or output device to help to give a voice to express what they want and don't want. And also it's about building relationships, not just with the teacher, but with the peers in the classroom. We work on puzzles, working their fine motor skills, counting numbers along those lines. I close with, in exceptional children's classroom, it's not just working teacher to student, it's also teacher to parent. We must have an open communication line to help our babies grow. Next, you'll hear from Ms. Angela King.
Thank you. I'm Angela King, the transition facilitator, and I'm here to talk about kindergarten registration. Kindergarten registration is open currently. You can go online and register for kindergarten. You will need your valid email address. Our kindergarten registration is an online process only. All children must be 5 years old on or before August 31st of this year. You will need a certified birth certificate, 2 proofs of your physical address, and a photo ID. Please, 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 parents, we are asking you to register now. If you have any difficulty or need assistance with registration, the district have set up 3 different sites. One will be held at the Child Nutrition Building or the Technology Building located here behind the central office in Nashville on April the 29th. We will have another one on April the 20th in Bailey at the ESL and Migrant Educational Building. And then we will have our last one on April the 21st at the Teacher Resource Center, 800 North Fairview Road. The times for all of those dates will be from 7:30 in the morning to 9 a.m. and then from 4 to 6 p.m. If you need any help, please contact our office, but we are encouraging you to go and register now. Please, 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 it is open now. I will now turn it over to Ms. Jennifer George, one of our kindergarten teachers.
Thank you, Ms. King. And talk about some of our major goals in kindergarten. Students learn their letter names and sounds and legibly write letters and produce writing sentences with capitalization and punctuation. They learn how to segment words and read CVC, consonant, vowel, consonant words, read common high frequency words, comprehend fiction and nonfiction texts, count to 100 by ones and tens, fluently add and subtract within 5, identify and describe shapes, and we also learn so much more. And this is just a general supply list for kindergarten. Your school, your child's teacher will give you a specific list, but some common things that students need are a change of clothes and a zipper bag, a backpack, scissors, crayons, pencils, and glue sticks.
At this time in our program, we're going to accept questions from our panel. We have been fortunate to have some parents who have submitted their questions, and we will ask that to the panel. But if you have any questions for this panel, we ask that you put it in your Zoom chat, and we will be able to read them and then present them to the panel. Our first question that we have that was from a parent was, do I need to complete a transfer request when I complete the registration packet for my rising kindergarten student?
And Ms. Roster, I'll answer that. Yes, if you desire for your child to attend a school that is not in your attendance zone for your current address, then that must be approved through the district's transfer process. You can go online to our website, and if you click enrollment, under enrollment, there is a tab and it says transfer request. If you click there, you will see all of the process and all of the paperwork that you need to submit to our district in order to apply for that transfer. And transfers, it takes a couple weeks, sometimes during the summer, longer for you to receive an answer as to whether or not that transfer will be approved. Transfers are generally approved for valid.
Should I wait for the transfer to be approved first before?
So you should go ahead and register your child for kindergarten using your current information and then go through that transfer process.
Thank you. If I have children that are attending elementary school, can I request that my child be assigned to a pre-K classroom at that school?
Take that question. So a part of our application process is that they're asked for first, second, and third choices. Since we do not have preschool classrooms in all of our sites, our elementary schools, we do take a look at those choices that parents ask, and we try to accommodate them as much as possible. But we just want you to know that we do not have preschool classrooms at all sites. So we do fill them according to first come, first served basis as they are approved. And we do take a look at those first, second, and third choices.
Thank you. What is the difference between the NCPS pre-K and the More at 4 programs that are offered at area daycares?
So NC Pre-K used to be formerly known as More at 4, so it is the same. We do have some outside daycares and sites that have NC Pre-K. However, we do have 16 classes in the district, and we encourage you to apply at our district for Nash County Public Schools.
Thank you. My child has been receiving private speech sessions. If I enroll my child into the NCPS kindergarten, will they be able to receive speech therapy at school?
I'll take that question. As everybody knows, all children are different and their service delivery is different. Part of our process is that when you move services from one agency to another or private into the public schools, we do an initial referral meeting. And at that meeting, an IEP team, which includes the parents, will get together, talk about the child's needs, do needed evaluations if the team agrees, and then we will decide as a team whether or not they qualify for services. One thing to note is that private services often focus on what the kid can do in their environment at home, and we call that the clinical environment. We really focus on the educational environment. So we want to know that that disability is impacting their educational progress. So we do take a look at that as a team.
We have a question for our online families. Are children required to have a learning disability in order to go to pre-K?
So that is one of the requirements and qualifications if they have an identified developmental delay. We also do a developmental screening. Once you apply for the NC Pre-K program, we will be contacting you for an appointment to do that developmental screening, and that is taken into consideration as well.
Thank you. Are all students who register for pre-K accepted?
Unfortunately, we only have a certain number of slots. So as I mentioned before, we highly encourage you to go ahead and start filling out those applications. Once you're approved, we do go on first come, first served basis as they're approved. But not all children will be able to attend. That is when they will be placed on a waiting list. And if a slot comes available, you will be immediately called to attend the NC Pre-K if you are approved.
Why should I register my child for kindergarten in April versus waiting until this summer?
I'll take this question. At my school, we had a lot of students that registered late and it made large classes. And then we had to create a new class that started in December. And that was tough on the students and teachers and some of the parents too.
And I would like to piggyback on what Ms. Joyce said. Registering early helps with funding. So when parents register late, the principal or whoever will have to request more funds, which may take time. So Ms. George's class may be full till right at the holidays. So we encourage parents to please register early so that we can get and keep our great teachers.
Thank you. And we're going to wait some more. We've asked all of the questions that were given to us. And we do want to thank parents for reaching out and sharing their questions in advance to us. We really appreciate that. But we're going to see if we have any more questions from our panel, from our audience.
So while we were waiting on that, I do want to emphasize that the preschool is an application process. Again, as that question was asked, not all students are automatically approved versus kindergarten is the automatic registration enrollment. So although you apply for the preschool program, that does not mean that you are automatically going to be placed in the classroom. We just always like to make sure that parents do have the understanding of that.
Thank you for that clarification. Transportation. Is transportation provided for both kindergarten and pre-K?
So I'll start with NC Pre-K. Our NC Pre-K classrooms we do not provide transportation for the NC Pre-K classrooms.
Transportation is provided for all students in Nash County Public Schools.
Thank you. Well, we're going to wait 5 more minutes to see if any of our panel has, or any of our audience has questions. And if not, we're going to close, but I do want to make parents aware that we are always ready to answer questions from this panel. You can feel free to reach out to them if you do not have any questions at this time, but we definitely want to thank you for coming.
I just want to add, far as proof of physical address, what we accept in the school system is a utility bill dated within 30 days, your lease or mortgage. So those are type of proof of address that we do accept in the school system for kindergarten registration.
Are those the same for pre-K?
We kind of have a little bit more leniency in pre-K. If you don't have the lease or mortgage, you can use things such as your cell phone bill, your Medicaid card, the immunization record that has to have that address on there. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact our office and we will walk you through ensuring that you get those documents.
And also for pre-K, whereas in kindergarten, we do not need pay stubs. In preschool, you do have to present pay stubs for each individual parents living in the home.
If parents do decide to apply for pre-K, where would they find information?
That information can be found on our website, Nash County Public Schools website. If you go to departments and then academics and accountability or curriculum, you'll see preschool. If you click on there, then there's a lot of information on how to apply. There's like a flow chart that walks you through the entire process. And there's also a what next? What do I expect next? What can I expect next? after I've applied.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to thank this panel. We're not seeing any more questions come from our audience. So we do want to thank everyone for coming to share information regarding our pre-K, kindergarten, what we can expect and the process so that children can enroll in either one of our early learning classrooms, pre-K or kindergarten. At this time, we would like to also let parents know this right here is the contact information. Mrs. Hargrove Jones is the Executive Director of Elementary Education, and she is based at the central office. Mrs. Natasha Williams is our Early Learning Coordinator, and she is based at our Teacher Resource Center. Mrs. Amy Watson is also based at our Teacher Resource Center, and she's our Exceptional Children's Pre-K Coordinator. Mrs. Andrea Hunter is the District Pre-K Iterate Teacher at TRC, it's her base. And Mrs. Angela King is also based at TRC, and she is our Kindergarten Transition Facilitator. Mrs. Fenner is the Pre-K Data Manager, who will also be someone who can answer your questions regarding applications and whether or not they're complete. Unfortunately, our two teachers are busy all day long teaching students, and so their names are not listed, but we definitely want to thank Mrs. Hickman and Mrs. Mrs. George for coming tonight. We hope that everyone has a great spring break. Please remember, the application and registration is now open. It is so important that parents enroll their children for kindergarten. I want you to imagine you're preparing a big party in August and you're ordering all of the supplies, but you do not have some for some children because you didn't know they were coming. We want to make sure all of our children have a great first day with teachers who had planned for them, expected them, and have reached out to you in August because they knew you were coming. So please use this time to register and to apply for our pre-K. Have a good evening. Goodbye.